Unpaved, Sean Salisbury here. We're bringing authentic, real stuff to you. Hardcore opinion.
Sean Salisbury, former NFL quarterback.
29-year-old Sean Salisbury, his second start as a National Football League quarterback.
All right, welcome into Unpaved on a Thursday, opening day, best Thursday and Friday, best two-day weekday of sports. That's coming from a golf fan. There is in sports on a Thursday and Friday. Love it. It brings back great memories of me pulling my kids out of school. And, the best education is life with family and travel and those experiences. They can learn 2 + 2 the next day. But I did it from the time they're about the third grade all the way up until through college. All their buddies would come early on. They couldn't have a beer. Once they got out of college and were 21, they could. But all that good fun with my kids and friends. And these days are memorable. Great to be on with you. Adam Sager joins me here on Unpaved. That's Sean Unfiltered. That Adam G. Sager. We have a lot to cover. I know there's a lot going on when it comes to the college hoops, but also we got a lot to cover outside of college hoops and inside of college hoops. In the first game, 2 of them are going on, and Nebraska is in the middle of the first period, or the first half, as we call it in college basketball, and we're pushing towards half of the TCU Ohio State game. I took TCU, Segs, welcome in, brother, to upset Ohio State, even though it's not a big one. It's a 9 and an 8 seed. So if I'm not mistaken, aren't they both? It's 9 and 8 seed, right?
Yeah.
Yep. But I got to TCU in that game there, although the Big Ten obviously is loaded, as is the SEC, with some pretty good basketball. And Big 12 ain't shy either. So should be a good run. Segs, good to talk to you, brother. It should be a fun. I don't know events-wise. I mean, it's when it comes to sports, you love Thursday. Saturday and Sunday are cool, too. I guess just during the weekdays, there's something that people come up with excuses like the day after the Super Bowl, why you shouldn't be working, why you should be at a restaurant or a bar at home with a bunch of TVs. And I would imagine, Segs, a cold beer will be in your hands today watching a little college hoops. If you haven't already started, since we're pushing towards, well, it's past 12, Segs, and it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So there you go. How you doing, brother?
Good. I have not opened a beer yet, but about 1:02 Central Time as we get off the air.
What will be the beer of choice today? What will be the cold beer of choice?
I got to see what I have in my fridge. I think right now I got some Corona and I got some Yingling. So
nice. Little change up on both.
Yeah, so I don't know which one I'll go with. It will just be a kind of spur of the moment decision, as it is every time.
If it's cold, brother, it'll find a way to taste good.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
100%.
What's on your mind today, my man?
We got a lot to talk about. I think something we've hit on, but we can really dive into a little bit more, and the question it brings with the Texans investing heavy in the offensive line. And it's something we've asked for when it comes to this organization for years. I mean, me and you have been doing shows since, 2015, I think it is?
Yeah, for sure. It's been that long, Segs. Yep.
Yes, about the Texans truly investing across all 5 spots of that offensive line instead of just getting the big move in Laramie Tunsil. They went out and drafted Titus Howard in the first round, and he was okay, but never really lived up to the draft position that he was taken at. So this offseason
never really got to settle into one position for a long period of time, too, Segs, but you're 100%. And when, if you're the master of a lot of them, but not, or the jack of a lot of them, not the master of one, we automatically think something's wrong. He's a good player, but it was time to move on and get moving forward. And they've upgraded that a little bit here.
They have, and the moves they've made, they've re-signed Ed Ingram, the right guard, to a 3-year, $37.5 million deal. They signed former Colts right tackle Braden Smith, 2 years, $20 million. We talked about the Wyatt Teller deal from the Browns. He comes over on a 2-year deal. They signed Evan Brown, the guard/center that gives you some depth, maybe some competition at center for Jake Andrews. Signed him a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. And then you re-signed Trent Brown for 1 year, $5.5 million. That can go, I think, up to $7 or $8 million. So they've invested heavily. So with this, do you trust this offensive line a lot more where things stand today? And do you think it helps them more so in the run game with Woody Marks and David Montgomery, more so than the pass game? Which way do you lean with this certain group of offensive linemen?
Segs, I think that, and it's a great point by you and a great question. And I'll put it this way: do I trust them? I trust them more now than I do since you moved back to Chicago.
Yeah,
how's that?
Sure.
There's no doubt. And it may not be the fact that they're loaded with superstars or dominant guys, Teller being one of them. They're deeper than they've ever been. You mentioned backup center and interior help, backup tackle, guys who started that we got a swing tackle that can come off the bench. Because normally it's like one gets hurt, you're screwed, because then you got to take the right guard, move him to left guard. You got to take the right tackle, move him to left tackle, take the left tackle. And it became a Where's Waldo with about 4 guys. It just did. So I think that it's depth now. Am I mistaking them for the way your Bears played last year, for the way the Eagles have been playing in the last handful of years, or the Detroit Lions, those types of dominant offensive lines, or when the Chargers had both their healthy tackles? That answer with Gene Upshaw and Art Shell ain't on this team. Okay,
right.
All right. But one thing I do know is that upgrade was needed, and they've taken, I don't know if quantum leap, Segs, but it hasn't been A to B. It feels like A to C, which I'm okay, which is a good thing, right? Because they've been wallowing around 1 year, Segs. Think about this: 1 year in the last 4 or 5 years, it was pretty good in the run game, but they couldn't pass protect. Then it got to the point, well, let's protect our quarterback, and they weren't physical enough. So the second part of your question of do I prefer it more in the run or pass game, here's what we don't know yet. Is it looks physical, they're a little nastier. How will that apply in when you're not titty blocking anymore? You're grabbing, moving, and getting to the second and burying people. And then if guys are standing around looking at the pile, and I don't mean literally, because old school, when Kevin Gogan and Steve Wisniewski and guys my era could play, you stood around a pile, you got an ear hole. But at least knowing that you got a guy that you're taking dead aim on an ear hole, that your guys are protected, you pick them up and get your ass back to the huddle. That's yet to be seen, because we could talk about nasty in March. I got to see nasty in the fall. But the players they've acquired tell me this is a nastier group. Does that make sense, Segs, on the cosmetic side? And the one thing I do know is that has to be more important than, because, and when I say this, I don't want offensive line, because I know, and a bunch of my buddies and teams I played for, pass protection isn't finesse, but it's more perceived finesse by what we're watching, because you can clutch and hold. Even if you hold a guy in place without moving him, your quarterback can still deliver the ball. In the run game, if you're clutching and grabbing and not moving anybody, you're at the line of scrimmage, then that's a defensive win. The old catching as a defensive lineman, if he can keep you at the line of scrimmage and you're not moving the pile and still, there's not a lot of holes to run through. So you got to get great movement and push at the line of scrimmage. That two-gap guy who's sitting there looking at you, You got to move him. Or what it does is it makes that running back bounce to another hole that wasn't the hole called, and he's running into trouble because somebody's there. So I think it's great in the run game, but I actually think with Marks and with Montgomery, they brought a BYOB. And I ain't just talking about the beer we talk about. I'm talking about bring your own blocker. So there's a sense of physicality, and with Mixon, when he was doing his thing, that you could go thump and get a little help. So I think it helps a lot in the run game, Segs, but I got to see the nasty when they're playing real games at 11-on-11, even though the perceived part, they're better. In the pass game, I think that this is more important right now, Segs, not than the run game, but for the guy who wears number 7 in the pocket. A sense of security, because I don't care what he tells you or what they tell you. From his rookie year to now, he's become more skittish in the pocket. He just has. His eyes are in a different place. We know he's got tremendous upside. We've seen it. We saw the production. Get knocked around a little bit, which is normal. Get a few scars on your chin, and next thing you know, you're like, my head's in the wrong place. Goes back to Gary Patterson and the white stripe on you. Where's your head and your eyes at? And so I think just in the offseason, that security blanket that you put over your quarterback and say, they're going to sew up the interior of this pocket now. We're better in there. So going in, he should be able to say, you know what, man, chin up. And I don't mean chin up with attitude. I'm talking about chin up with your eyes down the field, getting back to where you were as a rookie. It's rare, Segs, that we look at a guy and say, as a quarterback, say, hey, man, go back and perform with that presence and poise you had as a rookie. Normally it's like, dude, you don't know what you don't know as a rookie. Wait till you get to year 2 or 3. Year 2 and 3 have been they've been a Dow Joneser for him. So now year 4, I think that offensive line Segs for him alone says we're better, which he should be better. So in the big picture, I think that those running game, and you saw Marks last year create some of his own stuff too, right? So we just did. We saw better. Yeah. We saw what the future looks like. And now with Montgomery, so physicality matters to me, and does in the pass game too. As far as security blanket goes, there's no question. This is a big, deep sigh in the offseason. We've sewn it up for C.J. Stroud, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and you mentioned Woody Marks. He was on a show, and he commented about all the additions to the offensive line. Let's listen to that video.
Moves that the team made on the offensive line, just your reaction to that. Braden Smith and obviously Wyatt Teller just a couple of days ago. What's your impression of those moves?
Oh, yeah, I love it. I watched them guys film, watched some games from them, just seeing how they go out there and ball. I watched a lot of Wyatt Taylor because he was blocking for a person that I used to look at a lot. So it was phenomenal moves that they done made.
Very competitive.
Definitely something that he knows as the running back in this system. He knows how the system is set up with the offensive coordinator. This is what they need.
Yeah. Segs, you know what I gather from what Mark's just said? Not even the people he's talking about, is that he went and watched tape of the guys that are coming in already.
Mm-hmm.
It just tells me that he's trying to get a feel for who they are. We're talking about a second-year cat who's coming in. Right now, a lot of young players, what do they do in the offseason, Segs? Either number one, if your job's not safe, you're worried about who they're drafted in the draft and try to get yourself in tip-top shape, but here's a guy, I feel like he thinks 4 or 5 years older, that he's like, oh, what does Wyatt Teller bring to the table? Let me see what kind of guy he is at the point of attack so I can get a feel. Just so you know coming in, like, I watched you play, man, I like it. That matters to me. So that's not even the conversation we're having. But the fact that a running back that you're going to share some time with is a second-year guy in Dave Montgomery, and when people say, well, what does it matter what he did somewhere else? It matters a lot because certain guys stay on their blocks longer. Certain guys know how to get up to the next level better. Certain guys can pull and get out on the edge. And as a running back, I need to know where my patience level is and my ability to, if I got to be urgent to the hole or if I got a chance to be more patient on my jump cut so I can get to the hole. I think it's important. The greatest football players I've ever been around don't know some of it. Now, you're never going to know all of it, but don't know some of what people do. They've played chess and know what all their pieces are doing. Whether you can execute it every down or not remains to be seen. The fact that he wants to know going in is the equivalent of a pre-snap read for a quarterback in the league. I love that in the offseason, that it's not just the physical stuff. You're watching stuff that's going to help you and your team play better in the fall. It's a step in the right direction. That's a second-year player saying it. I hope everybody else approaches it the same way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this talk with all these moves made, bringing in David Montgomery, getting Tank Dell back, getting all these offensive linemen, and hopefully having an offensive line that is much better than in the last couple of years, is where does the pressure lie on C.J. Stroud now at quarterback? And for me, I think the pressure ramps up even more because he has been poor the last 2 years. It's not like, yes, does the pressure in terms of I've got better players, so maybe I don't have to make all these big-time plays. Yeah, maybe that comes down a little bit. But overall pressure, unless – now, if they go out and they sign him to their big, massive contract that they might this offseason, then, that pressure kind of comes down because then he says, like, oh, I don't have to go out here and like show that I'm worth the $55, $60 million. I've already got it. So I like the idea that you've talked about in the past of make this kid show that he's taking that step forward from the couple steps back he took over the last couple of years. So I think the pressure is actually ramped up as we sit right now on C.J. Stroud.
Segs, put an exclamation 3 of them behind it. That's such a great take by you. I am 100% agreement. And I'll tell you this. Let me start with the back and work my way the end comment that you made and that you were talking about, and then work my way to the beginning. You are 100% correct. And I hope, Segs, when you say, well, if he gets that big deal, I'd still like, listen, I'm in no rush to sign him to $60 million. I got him under contract.
Yeah.
I know that's how we do in the league. I don't really give a fuzzy rat's ass how we do in the league. I've seen potential and flashes for a full season of brilliance from CJ Stroud. And once I've seen it, I know we can get back to it. The question is, how far away are we in the last 2 years? But I sure as heck hope that he doesn't say, if he gets paid, say, and I'd like to think I've seen enough of him to know he wouldn't think like this, but you never know what money's going to do in security that way, finance security. But the great players I've been around, when they get paid, they apply their own pressure. They feel this need to, and rightfully so. And it's relative, Segs. If you were making in my time $500,000, all of a sudden you made $2 million. That's a big quantum leap, right? That's a life changing. Back in the day, that's life changing money. You take that pride to know they rewarded you. Now I'm looking out for my teammates to prove to them I was worth it. So the great ones I've been around, the more they get paid, the more they feel a responsibility to themselves, to their teammates, to the organization, coaching staff, and to the fans. They do. They don't need the pat on the back. The money says, well, here's your pat on the back for playing great. Here's your security blanket. And it puts more pressure on them to say, you know what? Now I got to earn it more. Forget what the outside world's saying. I owe it to the people that decided to reward me with my play. The other part of that, Segs, at the beginning, and you are right, there is more pressure because the better your team gets, what is it? Much is given, much is required, scriptural, the scripture stuff. The more I'm given, the more I'm expected to do. Not only internally, and that goes back to Segs, you've heard me talk about it. There's that intrinsic and extrinsic approach to sports and life. Extrinsic guys show up because they got paid, the honors are there, the social media likes, everybody telling them how great they are, MVP awards, all those are great, but that's what drives them. And if you take that away from them, they ain't worth the powder it takes to blow them to hell and back. The intrinsic guy. And you know who I always think of intrinsic when I think of sports, Segs? I mean, there's great the Birds, the Jordans, the Tiger Woods. That's intrinsic. You know what? They make billions, but you know what got into the billions? They'd have done it for free to beat your brains in on the hitting balls out of the bunker. But you know what sport I always think about, Segs? And you went to school and you saw them. You'd walk out of the gym and the wrestlers in 110 degrees, wrestling smelly as it smells like there's a sewer in there, and they're grinding because it's hot and they're getting in shape. Wrestlers don't operate on extrinsic behavior. It's intrinsic because that intrinsic means it's driven from within. It's not award-based. It's I'm competing with me. Sounds cheesy, but it's a fact. And so in the CJ Stroud case, and you are spot on, is that as the expectations, much is given, much is expected goes and required of you, that you say, my offensive line's better. We upgraded the run game. If Tank Dell's back, our young receiver, we can only be better at the wide receiver position. We've got some good players. Tight end position was more productive catching the ball last year. And our defense is, I don't know, Segs, shit, there's not three defenses better. And statistically, they're at the top of the league. They are a Super Bowl defense these last 2 years, period. They just are. And they're only going to get better as long as they're healthy. So if you're CJ Stroud, you don't want to be the reason we're questioning. You want to be the reason that you were elevated. And you cannot win without two things. I'm talking about in February. You better get great quarterback play, and your offense, you better be physical. We've said it a million times. So think about this, Segs, as I said yesterday, and it bears repeating. The quarterback, if I'd have told you that was a question mark 3 years ago, you'd have laughed at me and said, Sean, are you not watching him as a rookie? But that still lingers out there, or his extension would have already been done. I'm just telling you, I believe, Segs. So whether it's question, and I think it'll probably end up getting done, but it's that point where the more you get paid, and that's that part we've covered, the better your team is. You start to look around and say, okay, well, the quarterback's got this, right? Can you imagine the Texans not getting where they want to go now because the quarterback after all this? And so they've answered the offensive line, at least on paper, of depth and getting better. Now, they may still be a move or two away, Segs, in this draft. Who the hell knows what they're going to do?
Right.
I know this. At the end of October this year, when we get to 6-7 games in, we better not be sitting here saying, yeah, 7's a little skittish. If he is, it means the offensive line, we overrated him, and or he didn't recover the last 2 years from the way injury and the way he's performed. So keep an eye on that. But the great ones that I've played with, Moon, Randall McDaniel, Chris Carter, Junior Seau, Rodney Harrison, Gary Zimmerman, John Randall, I'm just naming teammates. Yeah. Bruce Matthews, not a one of them was driven by extrinsic stuff. We'll see how, or by that they, I got my money, I'm secure, I don't really give a shit what happened. They took it as like, oh, hell, I got more money. You've just given me more. Right. Now more is expected. Yep. And if you approach it that way, the Houston Texans will be a major threat in the AFC again, and maybe even a bigger threat if the quarterback plays like he did as a rookie and then some.
Yeah, it's about justifying that contract that you're given.
Yes, sir. That's just pride's sake. That just goes into how you go about your job, right?
Yes.
You go about your job. You don't just do what's required, you do more.
Right.
And I think that goes along with the position and goes along with a lot of money. It's just the way it works. And the hierarchy, and quite frankly, that's just called responsibility and accountability.
Right. 100%. All right. The NFL is laying groundwork to hire replacement officials if they are unable to agree to a new CBA with the NFL Referees Association. I think this is something that would be horrible for the NFL to have replacement referees. You got these guys that are the best of the best. And yes, do they miss calls? Of course, every referee is going to miss calls, but they are really damn good when you really break it down to, okay, here's, and yeah, of course there's some that you're like, they never call holding, or this team does that, or what. They are the best of the best, and you cannot have replacement officials when it comes to refereeing actual NFL regular season and or playoff games in the NFL. What's your take here?
Yeah, thanks. This is a major concern. I don't think there's any way that the NFL's product at this stage, considering all that's going on in the league and trying to be global and trying to, protect your superstars. Hell, the rules are so bad right now when it comes to breathing on a quarterback. And as a quarterback, and I don't know a quarterback anywhere that played or is currently playing at that level that likes the quarterback rules, let alone the rules. We've pussified it so much. It's not the player's fault, but what we've built in now is that every time a player gets hit legally, the quarterback's snapping his head to the damn official looking for a call, even though that same quarterback would sit in a room having a beer with you and I watched this tournament saying, our rules suck ass. We should be allowed to play, and that's the way it is. We are too lenient and allow this to happen. Well, we got to protect our stars. Well, shit. If you don't protect the right guard, he's just as important as you are. Your ass is getting kicked anyway. The level of hierarchy that we just assume that we got to, because we pay them, but we're starting to pay our guards and tackles and defensive tackles like they're damn quarterbacks from 5 years ago. So let's protect them too. So with that, we have enough trouble. And I don't want to be a referee. I don't want their job. That's why they get paid good money. I still feel like full-time refs would be a good thing and pay them. I do. I'm not saying they look at it as a hobby, but balancing both, man, it's hard to do. But if you can do it, great. And we've had some great ones, and some of them have been guys that I've loved and conferred with after and through your travels. It's like, hey, Dick Hantack, or God, the Jim Tunneys of the world, and love them, friggin' love them. I don't want their gig, and it's a hard gig. So I much respect the officials. I don't want to be an official, an umpire, or a basketball official either, Segs, because you can't be right. Half the world hates you every day. Because when you get one right for one team, so I don't want it. But that's why they're paid, and they're not supposed to miss 15 and 20 calls. That's why they do it. And most of them are really good. But we do have enough trouble, even with replay, even with our experts and the best of the best not being criticized. Now, backups in sports come in and become stars. Can happen with officiating too. I'm not willing to take the risk on all of them all the time, starting out my season with a $1 billion+ product where you've already bitch and complain about quarterbacks getting hit and make the rules where we're eventually going to be playing with flags and red jerseys on our quarterbacks. So we're at that point now.
Yeah.
So I don't need them to miss it, because the first time a quarterback gets hit late, Segs, with replacement officials, what do you think we're going to say? You're going to blame it on the officiating, or one game gets
100%.
blown, even if the big officials would have missed it. No, I don't want to see it. I don't think there's any way in hell we start the regular season with replacement officials. I think that you might as, you know what, Segs, if we're going to do that, start the season late then. I know you can't. I know that's hyperbolic, but you get my point.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to risk it. I think it's chatter and it's talk and it's all the posturing that goes with it. There's no way. Our starting officials already have enough trouble. I don't need somebody off the heap to come in and do that now, because we're trying to salvage great football on a regular basis. And the pressure that would loom for officials and the social media bombardment, the NFL doesn't want that PRI. Well, I don't know what it's going to take, Segs, but I can't fathom they're willing to line up and play with backup officials. I just can't. And I have nothing but respect for officials. When they miss calls, I get it. It sucks, but they usually even themselves out, even though everybody thinks the officials hate their team.
Yeah.
It's not true, but we're not going. I'll say it right here with an exclamation point. We ain't going into the fall with replacement officials. The product's too expensive, too valuable, and right now feels like it's got too much momentum for them. They're not going to let that somehow, some way. This is getting settled.
Yeah, I completely agree. Something that, this time of year, we always see rules being proposed by different teams for on the field, off the field, and everything. Well, the Cleveland Browns brought up a proposed rule that would allow teams to trade draft picks up to 5 years out instead of the 3 it currently is. So basically, the Browns want to find ways to not only fire their current GM for trading picks 3 years out if he were to do that. They basically want to fire the next GM because the first GM traded his first round picks that the next GM doesn't get, and then his team still sucks, and then that GM is fired. So now the Browns are finding ways to fire future GMs, let alone their current GMs, with this rule. I think it's preposterous. Trading picks 5 years out is insane to me. What do you think with the proposed rule here by the Cleveland Browns? Or are you for it? Do you like the fact that, hey, I want to take my 2031 pick and I want to trade it for Myles Garrett or whatever it is?
The greatest thing about the Cleveland Browns of all the years I've been going on in Cleveland is their fans. Yeah. I love their fans, and I got some good media buddies there. So I love them. And having played in the dog pound back in the day when Bernie Kosar and that group, and they were at Clay Matthews, and they were nasty as hell, and it was brutal to play there. I love their fans. But the Cleveland Browns front office is preposterous anyway. Okay, you make it. But I'm going to tell you, Segs, you and I are usually on this. We think a lot alike when it comes to our thoughts, even when we disagree. There's something in our disagreement that it clicks, and we say, we got some old school, some new school change.
Yeah, right.
That's fair. I will tell you this. I like it. And here's why. Wow, I do like it. One is, I don't even want, if you want to trade the 2090 pick, have at it, okay? It puts more onus on the organization to hire a friggin' GM that has a clue. It puts more onus on the front office to get on the same page and agree to it, because can you imagine, well, we're trading our, in 2026, we're trading our 2031 first round pick. Yep. It also can be a great equalizer for a team that's getting their ass handed to them to want to get rid of picks to get a guy now. Says, you know what? I've always wondered why can't, if I, and then you say, well, Sean, you're trading something, we may fire the GM. Well, then you better hire somebody better. It's the same as drafting a guy and giving him a 5-year contract or doing where CJ Stroud is. Well, we think he's going to be a good player. We're going to commit, or forget CJ Stroud. Tua. Mm-hmm. You committed $55 million to him, and a year later, you're like, oh,
he sucks.
We got to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Or Kyler Murray. Think about that, Seg. So, and that kind of goes hand in hand. So I actually, normally I'd be like, get out of here. I'm thinking, the Cleveland Browns came up with an idea that I'd like to. Now, it's probably not going to pass. But if you're saying, well, what if the GM gets fired? Well, then you better find somebody who knows how to draft players, puts more onus on studying, puts more onus on good front office people and communication, puts more onus on your GM. Because if you do that and you trade one and 2 years into it, you're really screwed up. You'll be out of your gig quicker. So, and then we don't have to let it fester because we signed you to a 4-year contract and you're horse shit 2 years in and you've screwed the organization up. The owner better find somebody to hire good people. So I actually like it because, well, it could serve the Raiders well.
Yeah.
It could serve. And I don't think many teams would trade 5 years out. But damn, can you imagine this, Segs? Let's say just use your Bears as an example in the past. However we got to it, that, man, we're trying to find firepower. Or the Raiders, we can use them, our two teams.
Yeah.
And trying to find firepower, and man, we got a first-round pick this year, but we don't have this first-round pick in 2027, but we do in 2029 and 2030. You know, the next 2 years we've traded, well, like the Browns traded away 1 million people for Deshaun Watson, right?
Right.
And you say, you know what? I don't have enough firepower in the first 2 years to go hopefully change the course of my franchise to trade for your guy that you're trying to get rid of because you don't want to pay him. But, man, if I go a 2026 number 1, a 2027 number 2, and then I want to trade my 2029 or 2030 number 1, I don't know what team would buy it because you don't that draft pick may be the 31st pick of the draft because that team turns it around in 2 years. But that's the risk. I like the gamble, Segs. I like playing blackjack or poker. I like just showing my poker face. I like it. So while I know it's not going to pass, but I do like the fact that it allows you more firepower, and it's coming from the Cleveland front office of all places. But I do think it makes for an onus and a really, really important on just not going and hiring a buddy, or like in Minnesota, hire a guy that really didn't have a lot of GM experience, and you found out a couple years later you traded away the quarterback that should have been there in the first place, or you let him walk, should I say, in Sam Darnold. So to me, I'm okay with it. You and I both know it's not going to pass, but I'm okay with it because you got to be awfully smart and calculated and do a lot of study to trade for somebody or have somebody trade for you that's willing to give you, or you're willing to give up a 2031 pick this year. If that pass going forward, I'm just saying if it was in play now, I don't have a problem with it. I think it puts an onus on being smarter, and I'm okay with it.
Well, and real quick before we hit our commercial, you look at this NBA ways. Remember, the NBA got so out of control with trading first-round picks and future first-round picks that the league had to step in and say, okay, you can't trade first-round picks in consecutive years. So you couldn't, this year you can't go out and trade your 2026 NBA first-round pick and your 2027 if you happen to have both. Now, the fact
Which I think is bullshit. You don't run my organization. If I think trade my first-round picks the next 2 years are going to help me, let it help me. The NBA's, listen,
well,
the NBA says, I want you to finish the end. I don't ever look to the NBA. It's real rich of the NBA for me to use them as any friggin' example for anything. Like the Aaron Fox's comment, I think I saw on Barstool, and I made a comment. It's really rich of him to say, I can't watch college basketball. They don't shoot it as well. Bad coaching, bad referees. That is rich considering we watch your slop, not him, but NBA slop on our television about 6 out of the 7 days a week if you're watching it. So it's the same here. And you're right, but damn, I don't, and I know it can get out of hand, which goes back to it's controlled. Their salaries are out of control. Quarterback salaries in the NFL are out of control, but it just goes to Segs, hiring competent people that make smart decisions. You and I, if we're in the front office, aren't trading our first-round pick 5 years away from now. Or if I'm an owner, I'm not letting you unless Mahomes or Josh Allen's available. You want to get firepower, you go do it. I've traded my 2032 pick for Josh Allen. Might have to consider that.
Right.
Now, if you're Buffalo, you're saying your ass because I don't know where you're going to be picking in 2030. So it makes for a good one. And go ahead and finish, Shakes, your take on it. Are you adamantly against it, or you just think it's preposterous or what it would lead up to?
I think it's just preposterous. I don't even think there's players that you would trade 5 years out unless you're doing something along the lines of, it's Myles Garrett. Okay, we don't want to give our next 3 first-round picks, but we want to trade, and this could be exactly why they're doing this. We'll give you this year's 2 years out and 5 years out first-round picks for Myles Garrett. Maybe something along those lines, but. And
Garrett doesn't give a shit. He's getting his and getting ready. Yeah. The player doesn't care.
do not offer this to Les Snead and the Rams because they will have every goddamn player in the league that's really
Dude, if
good.
you didn't have a limit on it, 2090's pick would be gone. Okay,
yeah, they would just trade everybody.
Well, Segs, it also did. What you're saying, it makes sense. But think about college football and college sports. I lost my train of thought of what I was going to say about this in the comparison of. Oh, you say, well, trading your pick away, the first round pick in 2032 or whatever it is. And you're right, the Rams would trade assets for the next decade if they could for players. Is in college, we offer 8th grader scholarships.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm at Alabama. I'm at Southern Cal. I saw you play a junior high game, and I watched your tape with your private trainer, and you got good DNA. And you're an 8th grader. As if your physicality and your maturity you may have peaked. We're going to offer you a scholarship. Well, remember when USC offered a 7th grader going into the 8th grade, the wide receiver? What's the kid's name? Went to West Virginia. Sills. SC offered him. He didn't end up going to SC. Ended up being a wide tight end / wide receiver guy. And that guy, I think he's from Delaware, isn't he, Segs, or Vermont, somewhere up there in the Northeast. And he turned out to be a really good wide receiver in college.
Yeah, he was really good.
SC, and I think it was Lane, they offered him a scholarship in the 7th or 8th grade. Now, it didn't come to fruition at SC, but he's only going to change his mind 48 times, the player from the 7th grade on. He doesn't even know how to spell USC when we're in the 7th grade, and it's spelled USC. Yeah. Let the kid be a kid, but we do that. So don't put it past, Segs. I don't think it's going to pass because too many won't want to do it. But I kind of like the gamesmanship it would require and the onus it puts on getting a good general manager to make sure you're not doing anything stupid.
Yeah, I do agree with that part. When we come back from our commercial, we're going to talk about comments from Eli Drinkwitz that I think is a very good comparison. Vikings make another move at quarterback, and the Rams we talked about with A.J. Brown. We kind of find out why they backed out of the discussions with the Philadelphia Eagles. But first, tell me about Augusta Precious Metals. Augusta Precious Metals. Guys, when you're protecting what you've already earned, IRA, 401k, it's not taxed when it comes to gold and silver and precious metals. Let's discuss moving forward how you're going to protect what you've already earned. Protect what matters most with gold and silver. Augusta Precious Metals is your premier gold IRA company. Diversify, protect, preserve, hedge against inflation. That's what this does. Precious metals, they are tangible assets. Protect retirement savings. That retirement you've already earned, is cash doing that? Physical gold and silver, education first approach. No sales tactics at Augusta Precious Metals. That's why I was drawn to them. Drawn to them because they're not pressuring you and hammering you over the head with something. They're trying to educate you so you know what's best for you, your family, your peace of mind, your security now, later, and in the distant future. How much time you have, how much money you have. Precious Metals. It's your premier gold IRA company. That is Augusta Precious Metals. Secure your future with tangible assets. Visit SeanBuysGold.com. SeanBuysGold.com. Gold and silver continue to rise. And it's one of those, there's no guarantees in life or in sports or in money, but I'll be damned if gold and precious metals isn't about as close as you're going to get. Text Sean to 35052. Again, there's no guarantees, but there is a guarantee that you'll get educated on precious metals. Again, text Sean to 35052 or go to SeanBuysGold.com. SeanBuysGold.com. Free information, no obligation, guidance, education, and confidence. SeanBuysGold.com. Thanks to Augusta Precious Metals as always. Sean, before we get before you go real quick, I just want to get to Dustin. I know we get a lot of comments and stuff and they roll by quick, so I don't want to miss them. Dustin, you asked if CJ Stroud's offensive line was good his breakout rookie year. They were really successful and clean pocket a lot of times. Their pass protection was the best it's been in the last 3 years. I don't know what Pro Football Focus has, but I can tell you, living here with the naked eye and watching every game twice, he was able to set his feet and do the things that you want a young quarterback to be able to do, and that's be comfortable back there. Even though it's an uncomfortable position and
what's the old phrase of be comfortable being uncomfortable. Make sure you
Yeah.
get comfortable being uncomfortable. He's got to get back to that. So yes, they were better pass protection just from the naked eye, and he proved it by throwing the football. And they kind of just cut it loose without even worrying about it because there wasn't any expectations as well.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Before we get to Eli Drinkwitz's comments, Sean, you talked about the NBA and how we don't look, we shouldn't look at the NBA for anything really at this point in time. I saw a video the other day of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander driving, not touched. I mean, there was space in between him and his defender, and he shot it and just kind of flailed. They called the foul. There was no hand or arm or body part near him. They called the foul. And then I see a video. It was the same cut up of the Thunder playing defense like Lou Dort, and Lou Dort's legitimately holding the ball, the dribbler, the ball handler, like holding him by his arms while he's trying to dribble. No foul called. But then I saw this video, and I had Bailey grab it real quick. Just watch this video. This is the NBA we get right now. Look at him. Look at this.
I saw that last night, or yesterday or the day. Yeah. They're calling it. And you know what some clown that goes on Twitter will say?
What?
You'll get the NBA, the NBA apologist honk who's mad at you for criticizing the horseshit stuff we have. When we say horseshit, I'm not talking about there's not talented players.
Oh my God, they're
ultra talented. I'm talking about just the brand of basketball's horseshit. They may be better players, or I don't want to say better. They may be more skilled and better, younger, or more explosive talent, or can jump higher, run faster. They ain't better. And it sure as hell isn't a better brand of basketball. This right here, you'll get some that say, oh, yeah, he gets to reestablish, or they'll come up with something
they'll make
mad at you. You can't defend that. That's traveling in 1901 with George Mikan and Apple, whenever that was, whenever it started with the old Apple, where you put it in a basket and it's carrying apples and there's no way for the ball to drop through, just like it is now, like it would be in 2000, like it should be in 2097. That is awful. You can't do it. What are we just skipping it and saying, oh, it's okay, we'll get over it? Knowing that we're going to talk about it. That's travel in any book, anywhere. You'd call that on a third grader that had all the kids running to the ball where 10 are covering one guy. Yeah. You'd call it in the third grade. Call it with grown adults. I'm going to tell you what. I think that there's times, we call it unwatchable, Segs, and that's hyperbole at times. But I'll be honest with you. I have not watched in 2 years, sans the playoffs, a full NBA game.
No.
I'm talking about from like I did with the World Baseball Classic, like I'm going to do with college hoops all day. I watch a bunch of that start to finish. I'm talking about from start to finish, which when Bird Magic were playing, or even early as 2018, before COVID, I tried not to miss a game that I wanted to watch. It's a team that I love watching. I can't on a Thursday night. Hell, half of it was to watch Charles and that group do their thing. And then you just stayed for the basketball. I have not watched a game from start to finish, 48 minutes of a basketball game or more in overtime in 2 years. And that's part of the reason why. And I'll tell you what, you give me a starting lineup from 1985 with any rules you want, the better basketball, that's not old head, better basketball. Not more talented, better basketball. Talent doesn't equal results. Better basketball does. I'll take that. Those dudes. Any team with Jordan and Kobe on it, and pre that with, early Bird and Magic. I'll take 5 of those cats. You can get 5 of the best ones you want. Play real basketball rules. They're getting curb stomped simply because they're more fundamentally sound. Yeah, this basketball's awful, and the referees are horse shit not calling that.
Yeah, I saw Shai Gilgeous-Alexander stop at the elbow, spin around. By the time he was done and actually shot the ball, he had taken 9 steps. His feet were lifting. He was switching pivot foot multiple times, and he just gets away with it, and he scores it. And here's the thing that makes me crazy when people talk about, how good they are now. They're doing this stuff. They're getting away with this stuff. They're shooting more free throws. And yet they still aren't averaging more than what Jordan did back in his prime.
Jordan would average 45 a night if he wanted to playing this hoops.
Yeah, easy.
And then he'd turn around and say, you know what, Shea Gilgeous, you're a talented kid and I respect your game, but I'm covering you for 48 of them if you decide to play 48. And I am going to, you getting your hands on the basketball is going to be really, really difficult for you to do. Yeah, Segs, talented, but it's not a better brand of basketball. It's a bummer because I hate the fact that I have to admit that it's not the way I loved watching hoops on a regular basis. I mean, you set your clock by it. I don't anymore. I have to go back when somebody says, man, did you see it? No, I didn't see it. Let me go back and watch it on some 60-second clip. Whatever happened to simple, move your pivot foot and it's traveling.
Yes.
I don't understand why rules had to change. Why rules had to change is because the players' discipline and the way they were taught at a young age changed. So we just assume, well, the players changing, so we might as well change for them so they can have 7 steps to get to the rim without putting the ball on the deck. It's all
they need 2 gather steps now, let alone, it's
oh, but that's legal, man. Segs, that's the new rules in the league. You get the gather plus the pivot plus the gather plus the gather. Yeah, awful. Spare me the details because it's eye rolling and quite frankly, it is unwatchable.
100%. Mizzou's head coach Eli Drinkwitz brought up a really good comparison for where college football is headed, and I never thought of it this way, but I do like it. He says that college football is going to end up like Major League Baseball, and what he's talking about is the roster spending. So he's talking if we have a team that is spending $45-50 million on their roster with NIL promises, and then they're playing another team, hell, in their own conference that may be at 10. That disparity is like Major League Baseball, where you have the Dodgers spending, let's just say $400 million on their roster, their 25 or 40 man roster. And then you have the Miami Marlins spending 40 on their roster. It's not the same. And
can't sustain great play. You just can't.
Yes, you cannot sustain that if you're the Marlins. Keep your roster there. You just have to keep turning it over to keep the cheaper players. And then the better players end up going elsewhere and helping teams like the Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox, Mets, whoever else that actually spend big amounts of money. So I think Eli Drinkwitz is onto something here. And it's something we've talked about on this show. There needs to be some sort of, you've mentioned a salary cap when it comes to this NIL stuff, that they need to get it figured out sooner than later, because, or else it's going to get insane.
Eli Drinkwitz feels to me like he's got some Mike Leach approach to sports in him. He's I've said since he's been the head coach.
Yeah.
He always has something, a time or two media national stuff a year that he says that makes perfect sense. That's logical and smart and common sense IQ through the roof. If common sense IQ is a thing, it's incredible. This is, I don't even know what I can add to this. Like the only thing I was going to add, and you brought it up for me, is I've said a million times, the only way you prevent it, add them a salary cap.
Yeah.
Now make them work with it. We are pro sports in college now. You just are. You can deny it all you want. Bullshit. You are. You're basically hand-to-hand cash pay. It's not NIL just doing endorsements. We are literally giving guys cash to walk on. Mm-hmm. You just need to find somebody to fund it. That's all it is. It may get direct deposited. It may, you've done this, but it is hand-to-hand cash. You can slice it any way you want. You are working for pay. Yeah. That's what the college sports has become. Drinkwitz is spot on. He didn't miss at all. He popped 3, squeezed 3 right into the target, a mile and a half down the line, Segs. Mm-hmm. That's sniper, bing, 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 bingo, bango, bongo, done. So give me a salary cap, because not only can't the teams that can't pay sustain it, at the college level, the legalities as it's going to continue to go, you're going to get more people cheating worse as it goes forward, because you can't sustain 50, 60, $70 million rosters. And if you're paying Underwood $12 million now, what are we paying the kid 8 years from now, Sakes? You're going to find another big rich guy sad like $35 million. Why would the kid ever leave? Shit, we're just promoting the stuff that we don't want, and that's stay longer for more pay. Get your ass out. So you can't sustain the roster bad, and you will not be able to sustain it good, because eventually alumni are going to say, dude, how much more can I get? I can't keep sustaining you year after year. I'm not getting my ROI from that player because only one's winning a national championship.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're going to keep paying for it. So Eli is spot on. That's about all I can add is if you don't put a salary cap, you're in danger. And he's at a school that will be priced out.
Yes.
He just is on the lower end. That goes to tell you he's one hell of a football coach to keep him competitive in the SEC, considering that they're not paying the same money that we know who those cats are that are. Eventually, you just get to the point. If I'm a rich alumni, Segs, and I'm a billionaire, if I'm not getting ROI, billionaires don't become billionaires even with pride in their school, saying, I've given you $100 million over the last 3 years. How many rings you got on our finger? None. Right. I ain't giving you $100 million anymore. You're actually going to start giving me half the suites in the whole building if you want my money. So I'm pricing everybody out.
Yeah.
And what do you do? What happens with that, Sakes? Then what do you got to do? You got to start charging people to wipe their ass in your public restrooms so you can fund it. And then all of a sudden the student section tickets are more expensive.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden their parents' season tickets are more. And before you know it, we're what the Super Bowl is.
Yep.
Or Major League Baseball.
Every game.
And corporate. It's all corporate. That the dudes like me and you, or the people who save up all their money to go to one game, can't even go to that anymore.
Yep.
And it's not only a trickle-down effect, it's a snowball that's coming so hard down the hill, it's steel, not ice. Eli Drinkowitz is spot on with this. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it's just something that's we're going to have to continue to monitor, and it's something we've talked about so much that there just has to be a common sense entity put in charge that has a board that gets to, yes, and you know, it should be guys like, you know, get some financial guys in there, get some guys like, you know, Barry Alvarez, Lou Holtz would have been good for it. You know, guys like that have been around the college game for a long time, and then get some younger guys that maybe see it with a fresher perspective. And then you get them all together and you sit down and take 6 months or a year, whatever it is, and you come up with all the rules. And then as soon as it's done and signed, these are the rules and this is how it goes.
Segs, if I'd have told you in 2015 or 2018 or during COVID that, let's just say 2018, if I'd have told you that we needed a capologist for every college team in the country, you'd have looked at me and said, Sean, you're on crack.
Yep.
That's what you're basically saying.
Yeah.
We're there. You need a Yale, Harvard, you know, all the analytics people we talk about. You need a mathematician, capologist to run college program, not just a general manager they're the Andrew Lucks, they're Ron Rivera's
right
at Cal and Stanford. What a shock. Hiring two smart guys to run two really good academic places that have been a top-notch player, and top-notch coach.
Yep.
That's what you're doing. So guess what's next? Well, we're full-time capologists on college campuses. Oh, well, we got those with NIL. No, you don't. You know what the NIL people are doing? Finding ways to raise more money to throw it into the program. That's their job, to give the coach firepower so the guy doesn't transfer. You're going to have a capologist. By doing that, you also put a salary cap. That's how you do it. Capologist, salary cap, put them together, and we've answered Eli Drinkowitz's problems. And he's 100% correct. And so are we. That's the only way you're stopping it.
And one more thing real quick. And the key is to do it now. Because if you keep giving these players power and then all of a sudden they unionize at some point, as you know, as college athletes, which will be tough, but it could be done.
It's going to happen. If this keeps up, it's going to happen.
We've seen it tried multiple times. If you give them any power of a union, they will never agree to the salary cap, just like baseball. That's why it has to be done now while these players don't have that power. And you could say, oh, well, that's not fair to the players. Well, you know what? It is fair because they're college kids that are getting paid lots of money to play football. Oh, and then the good ones get to go move on and go make millions in the NFL. Or if you're smart, you get your degree and you have a very good job waiting for you when you walk out of there.
Screw them kids. They're making plenty of money. They are pros. Are we saying it's not fair to the NFL guy? That all it is a little less expensive roster version of the NFL or the Dodgers, like you mentioned. And Segs, with that, the longer you wait, that player empowerment becomes massive. Well, they're already feeling themselves.
Yes.
I'm telling you, they feel it. So you get it now because there's still that skepticism. Well, I don't want to push too hard as a player because what if we lose NIL completely?
Yeah. Right.
Which you're not going to, but what if we lose that? Well, now, so if you better get out in front of this, because when they get some powerful guy who says, screw these colleges and universities. I'm all player all the time, and he's brilliant. You think they're empowered now?
Yeah.
Shit. They'll do away with everything, and they'll run the whole thing. And then you think they're making money now? 12 million will be 24 million, which will be 48 million. And these guys will say, well, we'll just bunch them together. The college will be nothing more than that'll be a minor league training regime for NFL. And we're already damn well there already.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, the Rams, we talked about as a possible A.J. Brown trade destination. Well, whoa, almost threw my pen. Comes out, Mike Florio says that it's due to medical research done by the Rams, kind of behind the scenes, of why they pulled out of the A.J. Brown sweepstakes. So that makes it interesting when we're talking about A.J. Brown possibly being traded. Is there something wrong with him? Is there something that's maybe something he can deal with now, but maybe in a year or two is going to affect him a lot more? The Rams did something, because if they're not willing to give up draft picks, as we've seen for Trent McDuffie and in years past Devontae Adams and Matt Stafford and all kinds of stuff, then you really got to pay attention, because they're willing to throw draft picks at anybody to get the best players.
Segs, and one thing, and I'm not saying this is the Rams' way, but I also know that what do people do heading into the draft? False information, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying Florio. I'm talking about you get one of your insiders to put out that we're not interested in this guy, false 5 picks, or that we see it on draft day, the very first round day, all the time. Sometimes it sticks because a guy, was smoking weed or got in trouble,
right,
and they hold out, and it's affected them. And then sometimes it doesn't. We're like, this is ridiculous. We look through it. You draft the guy anyway. I'm just saying, all right, what if this is out there, and all of a sudden Philadelphia comes back and says, is he hurt enough to take a 3rd-round pick for him? If you're the Rams, what are you doing, Sakes?
Oh, you're taking it.
Oh, sure. And the Rams keep giving up 1st-round picks. Maybe they have to do. I'm just saying, whether it was Rams or anybody else. Hell, if I could get information out that would cheapen the buy for A.J. Brown, and what is a medical concern?
Right.
Does he have a degenerate knee? Is his shoulder so bad he can only play 3 games? And I'm not saying they're not right. He may very well. I ain't a doctor, but I'll play one right here for a minute. But if I can, get you to, if you're the Eagles, I'm tired of the A.J. Brown stuff. We're going to ship him. They just brought another receiver in. What was it, yesterday, Segs, or the day before? I think Philadelphia either signed or did in free agency, brought somebody in. I can't even remember who it was off the top of my head. But if you're A.J. Brown, if you want him bad enough, and you could lessen the price by it being and what's a concern? Is it a major concern, or is it kind of a concern? I know this. You can sift through a lot and fight through a lot if I can get something cheaper. I'll make it work. I'll put an extra Band-Aid on it if I can get it cheaper. Just keep an eye on that, because I'm still not convinced he's a Philadelphia Eagle when the season starts.
It was Hollywood Brown. That's who the
There you go. There you
go. A couple days back. And then real quick, Vikings re-signed Carson Wentz. Gives them a quarterback room of Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, and then the young undrafted free agent Max Brosmer. So the Vikings have a full quarterback room. What do you think of this here with the Minnesota Vikings?
Wentzzy did some. I like to call him Wentzzy. Okay, Wentzzy. He did some pretty good things. When they played over, I think it was London, he made a great throw. Remember that throw by the pylon for the touchdown? Did some pretty good things. He still was an MVP type guy in Philly, Carson Wentz, but did some good things. But I want you to think about this for a second. You had Daniel Jones, J.J. McCarthy, and Sam Darnold in the building if you wanted them.
Yep.
Now, you're not going to keep all 3, but you could have kept 2 and Max Brosmer.
Yeah.
You decide, nah, keeping Max. God bless him. I understand that guy. You're trying to get your opportunity time. We're getting rid of Daniel Jones, starter, $44 million a year. I'm getting rid of Sam Darnold, starter, pushing 40, and got a Super Bowl, $40 million a year, Super Bowl ring. In less than a year, you emptied your quarterback room and were scrambling around to find an able-bodied guy to perform. You now bring in Carson Wentz and Kyler Murray. Now it's almost as if we screwed this up. Now, we'll bring them all in. So now you've got your I can't see Max and Carson Wentz. I can tell you this. McCarthy, unless they trade McCarthy and Kyler Murray are going to be okay. One of those other two's probably not, unless you put one back on some practice. I don't know.
Yeah.
And Carson Wentz. So you went from a crowded quarterback room with some good players and a guy that you could develop coming off an injury to an empty quarterback room that when somebody got hurt, you're scrambling around hoping Max Crosby's a player. And now you've reloaded it with a guy who's kicked out of Arizona because he didn't perform the way they wanted to. You got a guy who's been a journeyman in the league after being a starter that didn't get to play in the Super Bowl because Nick Foles is your MVP in the Super Bowl. And you've got a first-round draft pick that you got rid of everybody because you thought he was going to be the next superstar, and he very well may be, but hasn't been able to stay on the field with injuries and has underperformed a little bit because he's young and rightfully so, and I'm not quitting on him. You had that last year. It's almost like Kevin O'Connell said, you hosed me last year. Just keep bringing cats in that I can trust, and hopefully we won't have to use them all. And Kyler Murray will be the player we thought he was going to be when we drafted him in Arizona. Not Kevin, but Cliff Kingsbury, and he'll turn out to be that guy.
Yeah.
What a clusterfuck. Okay. But you at least Segs, the quarterback room's filled with guys who've played a lot of football now. Yet JJ McCarthy's still there. What chance is he going to get? Will he get a chance to keep the starting job in the fall? Or is he now the second guy battling to be the second guy in front of Wentz while you get him developed and Murray's the no question starter making minimum salary because he's collecting some direct deposit from the Arizona Cardinals to the tune of almost $40 million. What a difference a year makes, brother.
Well, yeah. And if you're the Vikings, you can't feel comfortable at all. Period. Like, and
how can you?
That,
Two cast-offs and an injured first-round pick.
Yeah,
that's what you're dealing with, and hopefully you're in the hope phase, Segs. You're not in the no phase right now. And I can tell you right now, if he had to do it over again, like I said when I went on every week, I'll keep saying it. You could have got Sam Darnold after his Pro Bowl 15-win year at a $35 million price that his starting quarterbacks go, ain't that much, which is crazy, but it's true.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast.
I love my Vikings, but damn, that front office screwed that up. You talk about screwing the pooch, dude. They did a great job of it.
Yeah. All right. Before we get out of here, a quick update you on some NCAA tournament games. TCU, Ohio State. TCU was up 39-24 at halftime. It is currently 55-53 Ohio State. Ohio State has outscored them 31-14 in the second half. And they are, got about 6 minutes left to go in the game. So TCU, you blow this, that's when you're going to look at that and say, man, how did we blow that? How did we not, I
just knew I was winning that when they opened that lead, Segs. I'm looking at the TV. I just knew, and now you're in a fight to the finish to see if you can close it out and get yourself in a win column. But that's the NCAA tournament as we see it. It won't be the last time today we have a game like this.
Nebraska's up 14 on Troy. We got High Point, Wisconsin, about 7 minutes in. Wisconsin up by 3. In that one, that's a 5-12 matchup. And then we got Louisville, who we talked about yesterday with Michael Brown Jr. out, the top 10 draft pick by most draft experts. Louisville off to a hot start, 24-11. That's a game that I was concerned about for Louisville. I might have
concerned. I still picked them in my bracket. So
I'd have to
Louisville to beat them, but I thought it'd be a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, I need to check my bracket because I can never remember who I pick when I get done with it. But so yeah, we got 4 games going. If you've got 4 TVs, or in my case, I have 2 TVs. I have YouTube TV where you got the multi-view, so you can put multiple games on each screen. It's a great day. It's a great day to take off work, drink some beer if you're old enough, and just sit and watch hoops all day. And then do it again tomorrow.
Yep, and Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, again on Sunday.
Damn right. And eat every wing and pizza and burger or whatever it is you do. Yeah, I got the 4 outside on my outdoor kitchen. I'm going there, watching, have them all up there, and sit back out there and have to be dragged inside by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock tonight. So there
I got nothing. Well, my daughter has an early volleyball. She's filling in on a team. So she's got early Saturday morning. That's it. I'll be home by probably 11:30, and then I'll just be sitting
right there for the opening of the game. There you go.
Exactly. So it works out perfect. But thanks for watching Unpaved, the flagship show of USC football, which is in spring practice and going well, and we're excited to see where they end up. And the Houston Texans, they've actually listened to us, Sean. I think they listened to our show. They heard us bitch about the offensive line enough that they said, we're going to go get Wyatt Teller. We're going to go get
It's the only reason they did it.
Yes.
Because of us.
Because of us. But finally, they listened after all the years we spent together in Houston on their airwaves.
It only took them 11 years,
line.
but what the hell, Six? I mean, who's counting, right?
Hey.
Who's keeping score?
Finally get it done, and now it's up to CJ Stroud to make it all worth it. Go over to YouTube and Rumble at Unpaved Sean Salisbury. Like and subscribe. Get all the notifications for when we go live and everything going on.
Dustin, my leisure golf wear company that you asked for some merch for the show. I got news for you. Now it's coming, and it's coming in a huge fashion. This is my passion now is leisure golf apparel and just casual apparel you can wear. I promise it's coming, and my people get it for free. Everybody else has to pay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're my people, Six. Dustin might be our people. We'll give them. We'll do some.
Well, I was gonna say we'll do some giveaways. We can, we're gonna up our YouTube where you can go premium, and then maybe we could do some different things there where we can, give away some merch or have some contests with stuff.
For sure.
So plenty that we got
coming, and some influencers that you go on there and with a link where you guys go on there, and every bit you get a little pay too. So that's on its way. All that and more.
Plenty of stuff coming down the pike when it comes to Unpaved. So keep paying attention, like and subscribe. You'll get all those notifications for whenever they happen, and just keep watching. Follow him at Sean Unfiltered. You'll also get information there. Follow me at Adam G. Sager. Thanks to Bailey, Laura, all our commenters, viewers, and everything. We'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy the NCAA tournament. Full day. Don't drink too much. Drink responsibly, as they say.
Always. I'll be getting some Spindle Tap here shortly. So enjoy.
That sounds good too. I got mine, but Spindle Tap sounds good too. So, let's go. It's time to go open a beer. It's time. It's time. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. Peace.
Unpaved, Sean Salisbury here. We're bringing authentic, real stuff to you. Hardcore opinion.
Sean Salisbury, a great NFL analyst, a former NFL quarterback.